Good evening, everybody. Hopefully I can talk without having to stand behind the podium here. I'm gonna thank you between me and you guys. This is who I am, Rick Crosson. I am a retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, supply helicopters, combat aviation units. Did that for 20 years. I always say 20 years to 1 month. That was one heck of a month. After that, I moved up here to Wisconsin, Green Bay in particular. I've been living in Green Bay since 2001. And for me, I've lived in 19 different locations around the world, which is why I can say that Wisconsin is what the rest of America would love to be like if it could. It's genuine. There are a lot of authentic people. I think the best compliment one human could pay another human is that they're genuine. And I see that in theirs, especially here in this community. I've met some of you at the powwow a couple of weeks ago, and that it's still resonating with me of how that was. So a little bit about me. I too am a father of three. My son is currently serving in the Army, and he's at a point in his life where he can retire. And his family, they live in Georgia. Anybody remember a couple of weeks ago there was a terrible shooting at Fort Stewart, Georgia? My son was there when that went down, although it happened in a different brigade, but he immediately calls his dad when he's dad, you're gonna hear about this, I'm fine and his family's fine. So that's how we all take care of each other. That UH-60 Black Hawk that crashed in DC, I used to fly the UH-60. Anytime I hear about any kind of incident or accident that takes lives, that's something, again, that resonates with me. For me, I've got some foundational pillars as well. And for me, these are the things that if we get these right, we can do anything as a country. Leadership that unites and delivers results. I can do that. I've led units, I've led organizations. I know how to get people motivated to move towards an objective and to deliver tangible, quantifiable results. I'm not necessarily about our side many, but for resolving issues, and so that the problem never shows itself again. Economic security for everybody. This tries to eliminate this concept of the zero-sum game, where if I get something, it's at somebody else's expense. We've got to move beyond that type of thinking so that we can all prosper. Always. Healthcare as a right. That's it. Nothing more needs to be said. There should be no more argument about that. Healthcare as a right. And it's already written in the Constitution. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, life. You gotta have nothing, you gotta be alive to have that. Strong educational agenda. I sat for the last year on the school board, Green Bay School Board, and I can tell, and I'm also a member of the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point Business Advisory Council. We've got to have an educated population for everybody. This is not something that is built into any kind of a hierarchy. That's ridiculous. We should all have an educated population that knows how to do reasonable thinking, critical thinking, and that can move things forward. And the last one, fierce defense of our democratic institutions. You're seeing massive versions of that. You're seeing compromises of the whole separation of powers. It was never designed to rest with one element of our government. Congress, as a congressman, I have not bending the knee to anyone. And in fact, the people I vote for are going to get more scrutiny from me than the people I chose not to vote because my expectations are higher. I see where both sides need to have a bad guy in their life to justify their own existence. And now we have to remove that imperative that they've created for themselves, both governments or both leadership entities. I do believe in a two-state solution. I think it makes good sense, but there has to be some reason for being and a vision of what that future state will look like that benefits everybody without necessarily having to define themselves by who the enemy is. That takes work, that takes diplomacy, that takes leadership. And I think that more than anything else is what is needed in that region of the country. Right now, it is serving too many interests to keep the status quo going. And those interests need to be identified, squashed, so that we can fix this thing and people will stop that. I actually wrote this one down because I needed to make sure I had everything covered in what we're talking about healthcare as a right. First and foremost, stand firm on that premise that it's a right, not a privilege. It has nothing to do with your socioeconomic status, and everything to do with the fact that you are alive and deserve to be alive because that helps you position you to be a contributing member of society. I made this 5 key points that we need in our healthcare system. We need strong hospital quality, especially in rural areas. Rural areas are going to suffer first, and they already are suffering. I think that's important. There is a rural-urban disparity going on, meaning the further where you live away from a big city, the more challenging your healthcare providers are. Medicaid expansion, I think, though, in Wisconsin, what I'm learning is that this state remains one of the few that has not fully expanded its Medicaid program under the Affordable Care Act. That's a decision that is still under contention. We got to get that right. There's workforce shortages, maternity care deserts, and disparities, especially the retention of OBGYN doctors.
Or not.
Yeah. I would obviously defer your experience, sir. Man. Rights are rights, regardless as to who you are, what you choose to be, who you identify with, what you believe or don't believe. You are a living human being. You have rights. There should be no qualifiers to rights and the extension of rights. And so for me, and it's not about being, I hate the term colorblind, because for me that means you're not aware of the differences. You're not necessarily celebrating the differences. For us, all of us, it makes us better. We're supposed to be this one element on earth that brings in and welcomes diverse perspectives, orientation, everything. That's what we're all about. So for me, you're right, it is a non-issue to qualify that based on your gender identity, based on race, whatever. The right is a right. First of all, the state of Wisconsin is fabulous in the way it treats its veterans. There are benefits that are afforded to veterans over and above the federal benefits that the VA offers. My daughter's college education, because I am a disabled veteran, was paid for by the state of Wisconsin. There are some veterans housing programs. There's 2 locations in Wisconsin that the last budget is going to cause to close. I think it's Chippewa and Green Bay. They're closing. And why and how that was allowed to happen to me is criminal. We got to get that back. I think we should obviously honor our veterans and live up to the promises that we made them when they committed. That should go without question. The fact that it has been allowed to happen and it is starting to erode, or at least is there, to me is criminal. That's another one of those absolutes. We take care of our veterans, period. I'm going to tag on that. And again, I'm a seeker of objective truth. First and foremost, climate change is real. It's happening, whether we like it or not. Whether we want to argue about the source of it or whether man, women are creating it, it's real. Look at what's going on just this summer with these significant rain and weather events, a lot of the flooding and all of that activity. You notice there's more bugs flying around there. That's a result of what's happening out there. So we've got to acknowledge it. We've got to figure out how to address it as in practical ways that make sense. Water quality, there's so much, especially around in this area with all the lakes and rivers. We've got to look at runoff. and all of those things that feed into that. Air quality challenges. There's been significant issues with that this summer. I mean, I've been walking around and I feel like little marbles are in my eyeballs, my sinuses. It's a real thing that has to be looked at and addressed, but realistically figure out what we can do to address it. Renewable energy transition. We've got to get after that. And then conservation and environmental justice. Hold ourselves accountable.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, like I said, I just met the last year on the Green Bay School Board, so this is one that is near and dear to me. Teacher shortages and retention is a significant issue, as with all professions, but teachers and hiring is one thing, keeping them and putting them in the right schools and making sure that they themselves are educated and motivated to bring these kids forward is important. There are significant achievement gaps and racial socioeconomic disparities that have to be acknowledged. We can't just stop talking about things like DEI and assume that the problem is gone, because it's not gone. Student mental health, that's where most of the federal dollars go to. Cutting that impacts an increasing issue because there's more and more children that need special education. So we got to get after that. And impounding funds, which our president likes to do, is a bully tactic that we cannot afford to keep having. Impact of political decisions on education. We've got to just remember that, again, education should be a right, and it shouldn't be tinkered with and played with. I get passionate about this one in particular, but that's where I'm at with it.
Yes, you.
Yeah, we are an interconnected, interdependent world economy. And so to think about ourselves in isolation is going to kill us. We don't make most of the things we consume. We rely on other elements of the world to do that. And the threat is Barnum and Bailey's circus of tariff threats. Any tariff that's imposed on somebody importing something or shipping something here, we're paying. There's no other magic to that. So we got to get that right. There are significant areas, housing costs, there's all taxes and fees. Wisconsin has a graduated state income tax system. There is some relief for property tax rate, goods and inflation and healthcare costs, all of those things. They're all we got to figure out most cost-effective ways to do things and then stick to it and hold ourselves accountable, and don't do any showmanship that increases or adds costs, because the wealth disparity is also creating a rise in the cost of those, and that we've got to get after that. That issue, more than anything, highlights the fact that people can't be passive when they and choose not to vote. So everybody has to, who can vote, get out and vote and make your vote count. I like both the plans. Short and the long-term strategies are a reality. I'm a fighter, I'm a soldier. For me, I see the objective. This gerrymandering thing was something that was created because people knew that populations, just like anything else, move and evolve and change and grow, and so do interests. We shouldn't be afraid of it. We should embrace it, and we should put things in place that put a check to people unfairly rigging things to just keep their side paid. I'm one who has put pay packages together for truck drivers. I have managed managers. I have offered job opportunities to people who have turned me down for promotional opportunities because the increased salary removed them from Badger care. And so they were motivated, or rather demotivated, to take the advancement. I think there should be, and I've always thought that there should be some sort of a way to gradually wean you from those support systems as you get promoted. We don't have that. It's when you hit this threshold, the support stops. We got to fix that. Healthcare, I've got friends who started healthcare out near Waupaca. It was a desert of the lack of, childcare, out there. you need more. But then again, you got to hire people, and you got the same issue of hiring people who want to stay and do that type of work. So you got to have, it has to be competitive for them. This isn't an easy solution. Grandmothers, other folks, other ways to take care of the children are things that we have to look at. Pre-K, we got to get kids in school earlier so that you have an element of that taken care of, and they're learning. So you can kind of merge some of the needs that way. There's more. I got a lot more, but